I grew up with just me and my mother, so where I live at, there's a lot of people going to jail. I have friends going to jail, people getting shot, killed. I've never had no one in my life tell me like how much potential I have to grow. I was always set up for failure. I'm Brandon Nunez, I'm 19, and I'm from Far Rockaway, Queens, New York.
When Brandon Nunez won a state title in Division I, that's probably the most competitive division in New York. But when he was able to wear that PSAL, Public School Athletic League singlet, and win a large school championship, it's significant. It's significant for New York City, it's significant for PSAL, it's significant for all the youth that are able to see what a real superhero is.
Once I chose wrestling, it got me away from all of that stuff, all the negative stuff where I lived at, and wrestling really showed me the positive route in life and shied me away from all that negativity.
We didn't have any state place winners, no state champions, no college wrestlers a decade ago, and now I think we have had multiple state champs. Our section in New York City, when it goes to the New York State Public High School Tournament, is competitive, which had never been the case prior to 2007, 2008, 2009, before Beat the Streets really started to pick up its grasp.
The mission of Beat the Streets is use wrestling as an avenue for the urban youth and support them emotionally, physically, and help them grow. Anyone who wrestles in the 5 boroughs is welcome to be a part of Beat the Streets.
Does that make sense? That does make sense, right?
So Brandon showed up one day at Beat the Streets, kind of towards the end of the school year, and he was god-awful. He was horrible. But I saw something in him. I don't know what it was, but I saw potential, and I kind of took him under my wing.
When I was younger, I was getting in a lot of trouble. I used to love fighting because I used to watch a lot of MMA. So I saw that wrestling was free in the high school that I was attending, and then I started wrestling in high school.
He lives in a rough neighborhood, so he could have chose that bad path and ended up in jail or maybe worse.
My mom always worked like 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night all the time. But when I was getting in trouble, my school would call her in a lot, and she would cry and stuff because she thought that she would lose her job. So I was like, all right, I'm not doing good things for her, and she's sacrificing all of this stuff for me. So once I got into high school, I started wrestling, I started doing good, and I started seeing my mother like actually smile and have something to be proud of her son about. I started attending Beat the Streets almost every day, maybe like 4 or 5 times a week. I grew a close bond with Coach M.A., and he was like that father figure that I never had in my life. It was really just having that close bond with someone and them having that trust in me that made me want to come all the time.
It's just a great sport in that you don't really need too much more than yourself to be able to wake up in the morning time and work. You don't need a team to be able to do that.
Sacrificing time with family, friends, not staying where I live at. Instead of hanging out with my friends, I go to practice, I'm getting home late.
Wrestling does one good thing, regardless, is it tries to make better individuals.
I really thank Beat the Streets for keeping me out of that environment.
New York City has the greatest athletes in the world, but the culture hasn't really been there.
New York City is phenomenal in basketball, and you just don't have a lot of, blue-collar wrestling families like you do in the Midwest.
There hasn't been a coach or a culture built until Beat the Streets started in 2005, and it doesn't happen overnight.
If you see in most of the projects and where we're growing up at, there's a basketball court in almost every project. And you don't got no role models, you looking on TV, you watching basketball, you following in those footsteps. So when I started wrestling, I looked at Coach M.A., that was my role model, I wanted to follow in his footsteps, go to college and wrestle and everything.
The sport itself is different than a lot of other things in that you're not only doing it by yourself, you're also having to do this in oftentimes a lycra singlet with a lot of body showing in front of your peers. Being able to go out in front of, essentially your friends and your neighborhood to compete is such an enormous accomplishment. A lot of the organizations that are starting to pop up right now, the Harlem Jets, Coach Palmer, they're starting to get the momentum that Beat the Streets brought into the program. They're starting to get the momentum that we had when we were at NYU and making that Division III program great. So I think that's one part of it is, as there's a lot of energy, more people will come in.
The Harlem Jets mission is all about youth and their development from 5, 6 years old all the way up through high school and matriculating on to college. It's all about their wellness, their social emotional, as long as with the wrestling side of it also. So as an organization, it's really just everything there that supports the children in their efforts to be successful individuals. I personally have been wrestling since I was 6 years old. It's about giving back what I learned through wrestling back to the kids of our community here in Harlem.
Gotham City Wrestling was founded with the idea that there was more information to be had and given on the exceptional people that help build and run our community. It was a way to try to connect all of the good people and all the good energy that was going on for wrestling, for the kids to be able to get on this website and see some rankings, have them see that they're being recognized for their good effort.
Wrestling forces you to actually re-examine you and your own philosophies at a young age. It is all on you at that particular point in time. And I'm asking you under duress to actually execute. Wrestling provides a platform for a child to actually develop as a person and as a teammate.
I tell this to parents, I tell this to kids. What I care about is that you graduate in 4 years, you are prepared for the real world, you're leaving a better person, a better husband, a better father, a better member of society. You get punched in the mouth, you get taken down, it's hard, right? It's physically hard, it's mentally hard, it's emotionally hard.
There's really no sport like it, and I think that those lessons very much translate into life.
We're in a great spot right now. Women's wrestling is picking up a lot of momentum, and our athletes are starting to be very, very competitive.
From the male and the female side, we're sending more kids to higher education wrestling, and that's been the key, that wrestling component, to get them to the next level.
It's great for everyone, gender neutral. I mean, the lessons you're going to learn for the same lessons you were going to learn for the guys.
The PSAL has done a great job, and Beat the Streets has done a great job really showcasing women's wrestling and girls wrestling throughout the city.
We saw a non-existent program to the point where we have 30 high school women's programs, which is great. Obviously, we want more parity there. We want the women's programs to grow, and we're really putting a strong effort in that.
So you guys can't see, but I'm getting chills right now. I was walking about 6 years ago with who's now world champion, Olympic champion, Helen Morales. But I remember walking down the block with her and asking her, Helen, what do you love about wrestling? Her eyes lit up, and she just kind of said, what don't I love about wrestling? I love everything about it. And all these things that she spoke resonated with me, that I love wrestling too, just like you love wrestling.
We, I believe, pioneered the female dual meet competition, female to female, versus the past. There was female wrestling in the United States at a high school level, but it was like you got to compete against the boys. We want to create great men and women that go on to do great things in their careers with their families, husband and wives, give back. And I think wrestling just prepares you so well for those things. And that's literally the whole point.
As far as the impact on the girls from my school, it's definitely put them in a different mind frame. Some of them come back and tell me that they've got confidence to tackle any challenge.
Wrestling teaches you to enjoy your life. Enjoy the journey and embrace it along the way. It's not about the results in the end. It's about the journey you're going on and how you deal with it.
Wrestling, whether you're boy, girl, male, woman, you're out there and you're only out there by yourself, so you learn a lot about yourself while you're out there on the mat, when you're in the wrestling room and practices, and it changes people, and it always changes it for the better.
I say Beat the Streets and wrestling saved my life. All of that hard work that I came in, made me the man who I am today. So if it wasn't for Beat the Streets, and I'm serious, I literally don't know where I would be.